Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to episode 106 of Talking Asperger's with Andrew. My name's Andrew Marsh, and I'm autistic. My version or representation of autism is Asperger's syndrome, which actually, according to the diagnostic manuals and the people who do these sorts of things, is not the correct term anymore, but I prefer to use the term Asperger's syndrome. The correct term is a type 1 autism spectrum disorder. I don't particularly like that. I prefer to stick with Asperger's syndrome, so that's what I'm going to use when describing the condition that I have. If I'm going to talk more broader about autism generally, I'll say autism. So let's got that out of the way. It's wonderful, glorious, sunny day, and let's get down to it. What are we going to talk about today? Well, I'm going to talk about something that I thought everyone did until I had a conversation with someone about it, and they went, "Oh, really? You do that? Hmm, That's not me," which got me thinking. And it is my brain is constantly on the go 24/7. And I visualize, I see things. So if I'm writing a book, for example, the best way that I can describe it is it's just as though I am watching the film of the book and I'm the narrator, the secretary, describing what's going on in my head. And apparently, there are some people who can visualize things in their head, and there are some people who can't. But mine's slightly more complicated than that. The way that I describe it is imagine yourself sitting inside a sphere, and on the inside surface of that sphere, 10,000 video screens all showing something different. It might be wonders of the universe and the Earth and the planet and wonderful things about humanity. It might be a sports video. It might be a news video. It might be extracts from my favorite films. It could be anything. The really interesting thing is I don't have a say in what those videos, those screens are showing. And it's running all the time. Now, because I have consciously made myself aware of it, I got all these images in my head, right there. I know that's a bit off-putting having my hands there, but it's right up close. And the really bizarre thing is the first image that I get is almost invariably the same one. It's not a very nice thing, but it's the image I get. It's the video of the Hindenburg just moments before it blows up into a fireball and then crashes to the ground. And it's got the commentary of the television broadcast who's describing it. That's the image I get, and it's right there over my right eye. A moment or two later, I get another image, and this is perhaps more familiar. It's the scene from Lord of the Rings where Gandalf is on the bridge of Khazad-dûm. You shall not pass to the Balrog. Fellowship of the Ring. Brilliant. That's the second image. And then I get another image, which is Jason Robinson scoring the try for England in the Rugby World Cup when they beat Australia. And then it just goes on and on and on and on. Different images coming at different places, whether it's central, left or right, up or down. Boom, 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 boom. It's just a multitude of them just coming, layering one over the other, one on top of the other, and the sound keeps going. So I don't just have the sound from one, I have the sound from 10 or 20, all competing for my attention. And that's quite a hard thing for me to zone out so that I can concentrate on what I'm doing. But I do that quite well. I can be very focused. And so, railway line focused, particularly when I'm working, when I'm writing. When I'm writing, that's what I'm doing for the day. It's I consider my writing a job. Just as when I was a geologist working in the construction industry, you set your alarm, you get up, you have your breakfast, you do whatever you were doing with your wife and the kids, and getting the kids off to school and doing all of those normal everyday things that family people did. And I'd go to work, drive to work, get a cup of tea, start work, put in your shift, and go home. So when I'm writing, that's what I do. I do exactly that. I get up, I have my breakfast, get changed, boom, at my desk, turn everything on, fire up the machine, and I start writing. Stop at 10 o'clock, get a cup of tea. Stop at 12 o'clock for lunch. Back to work at 1. by latest. Stop at 3 o'clock, cup of tea, finish 5, 6. If it's going really well, I might just keep on going until I get shouted, "Hey, are you coming down for dinner?" That's the focus that I have. So I can reduce the impact of all these screens giving all these images, but I can't turn them off. I cannot turn them off. It makes going to sleep quite tricky because I can't turn them off. Got these images, these videos, just boom, 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 all the time. It's constant. It, apparently, it's called something called hyperphantasia, which is quite an interesting term. The opposite, which is people who don't visualize and can't see things in their head, is called aphantasia. You might want to look those two up. They're quite interesting how the difference between not seeing anything at all in your head. I don't think I could function without having imaging and imagery in my head to having everything in my head all of the time. It's quite a difficult thing to get used to. But having said that, I've never known any different. So I've adapted. I'm just it's just there. It's part of who I am. It's how I see things. It's how my brain works. It could be an autistic trait. It could be a trait that's not related to autism. I don't know. But it's difficult to say how to get used to it because I've never known any different. It's the opposite of breaking your leg. You break your leg, suddenly the whole world around what you do and how you do it completely changes from the simplest of things, like getting out of bed to go to the toilet in the middle of the night. How do you do that with a broken leg? And you've got a plaster from your thigh to your foot. How do you do that? And if the plaster goes round your foot to nearly your toes, you can't bend your ankle or your knee. How do you do that? Is it easier if it's depending on whether the broken leg is the side of the bed or the inside of the bed? Which of those? How'd you get up and downstairs? When I had my leg in plaster for a whole host of reasons, I used to go up and down on my bum. I'd, sit down, up one step, move my feet, up a step, and do that. Go up and down on my bum. But then, how'd you get dressed when you got a broken leg? Do you get an old pair of trousers that aren't that good and you cut them off just above the knee so that you don't have all that? How do you get, your foot and all that going on in your trouser leg? So when you break your leg or your arm, if your arm's in a plaster and it's, from your shoulder down to your wrist and you can't bend your arm, how do you manage to do things? How do you wash? How do you have with a broken leg, you can't just hop in the shower. Your plaster will get wet and it's ruined. So you've got to tape a bin bag, put your leg inside the bin bag and tape it up really tight, both sides, top and bottom. How do you do that if you can't reach the bottom of your foot because your leg's straight? I can't do that. But you eventually find ways of coping and managing to do some of the things that you did before when you break your leg or your arm. So you adapt, you modify, you don't do certain things because you either absolutely can't, or it really hurts too much, or you don't needed to do it in the first place. And need is a very interesting word when you think about it. If someone says to you, "Did you need to do that?" What, need as in, do they absolutely have to do it for me functioning as a human being and still breathing and doing and functioning and doing something? Maybe no. Did I need to do it because I wanted to do it and it was convenient for me to do and wasn't causing anyone any harm? Yeah, need is one of those words that like autism. It's a spectrum. It's not just linear from A to B. Very complicated word, need. I find need a complicated word. And there's another word which is even more difficult. And it's used all the time, but it's possibly one of the most destructive normal words that you could ever use. Normal. What's normal? Define normal. What's normal for me might be completely alien for someone else. That might be someone I live with, or someone from a different country or a different culture. So normal is really tricky, but I digress. Back to imaging, visualization, lots of things going on in my head. It's like having a computer with 20 tabs open, and without your control, each tab becomes the dominant one. And there you go, there it is. And then it goes to the background, and another tab comes up. So you get that image or that program or whatever it is that's on that tab. You're like, boom, 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 boom. Wow, what's going on? It's quiet. I keep saying difficult. It's quite difficult to describe because I've never known any different. So I've not had to adapt to it. It's just been a thing that happens in my head, and I just get on with life. And it was not that long ago, a few years ago, when I was having a conversation with someone, and they went, "What? What do you mean you've got images in your head?" We had a very strange conversation. I mean, what, you don't? And we're sort of going, what, with incredulous looks on our faces because neither of us could comprehend what the other one was saying. We knew the words, we knew the meaning, but it's the deeper essence of I've got images in my head and there's loads of them, and I don't have anything in my head. I can't see anything in my head, and it's the impossibility of the other perception to your own that was the thing that was catching us out. Ooh, you've got no images in your head, what at all? So if you're doing a guided visualization in a yoga class or a meditation class, do you see the tree, the stone pillar, the sunset, the mountain, the field of grass? No, don't see anything. What, nothing? No, just black. You've never seen anything in here? No, nothing at all. And you know, I understand the words, but the concept of not being able to see anything at all, ever, even when you try, imagine a tree in a green field, a field of grass. I'm seeing it now, and I haven't closed my eyes. This other person couldn't see it at all. Thick, black, zilch, nada. It was mind-boggling having that conversation with someone who was completely the opposite of what's going on in their head. And they were like, what do you mean you see things in your head? And I then had to do what I did at the beginning. Imagine yourself sitting inside a sphere, and on the inside surface of the sphere is 10,000 video screens, all showing something different. And they're like, what? What? Eh, yeah, like that. And you can't turn them on or off. No. You can't turn the volume up or down. No. You have no control over which one comes at any time. Correct. I have no control. And it's like, whoa, really? Yeah. Are you sure? And we had this wonderful discussion. We really couldn't understand the other person's point of view. Yes, like we said, we knew the words and we knew what the words meant, but it's really, you see nothing in your head? Huh? Nothing at all. Not ever. So if I was to say to you, imagine a pink elephant, can you see a pink elephant in your head? No. You sure? Absolutely nothing. And they said, can you see a pink elephant in your head? I mean, yeah, I can have a dozen of them. It's like Disney on speed, as my wife would say. And there was, what was it? What was the film? Dumbo, the drunk elephant. I can see that now. I can see that extract of Dumbo in my head. I can hear the music right now because I've drawn my head's attention to it. I've just changed. I have just changed the channel. I've now got Gandalf, Bridge of Khazad-dûm, you shall not pass. Don't ask me. I'm just the passenger in what's going on in my head. It's amazing. And the more amazing thing is that there are some people who can't see anything in their head at all. Yeah. In the 50 years they've been alive, they've never seen an image of anything in their head. Hey, that is it. I'm like, I sometimes struggle to function with all of the images because they're too intense and they come at me and all the rest of it. But not having anything, no sounds, no images in my head at all, I think that would drive me mad. I didn't comprehend it. I'm sitting here talking to you now, and it's about as close to complete lack of comprehension as I can get when someone says they see nothing in their head at all, ever, in their entire life. Are we the same species? How how how, how does that happen? What mechanism is going on? Do they have a deficiency of something? And I have an overabundance of something, and somewhere in the middle is most of the people who've got I'm going to use a horrible word normal again, that average general amount of something in their head. I'm one end of the scale, and person who sees nothing is right down at the other end of the scale. They're at the 0% on the skewer, if you remember a previous episode, and I'm at the 100% of the skewer. You know what? It's it it's quite I'm trying to find the right word. It's it's it stops my rational thought trying to comprehend someone who can't see anything in their head. Because I just can't imagine. Can't, can't imagine what it's like not being able to see or hear anything going on in my head. What can that be? Until a few years ago, I thought everyone had what I had. This multitude of screens all coming at me with different images. There's Hindenburg again, right there. Boom, right there. It's just about to land. The burning fireball is just hit the ground now. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go onto your favorite video sharing website and type Hindenburg disaster and watch. If you can stomach it. It's it's an airship in New York coming into to dock with the tower, and something goes wrong. And it explodes in a fireball, falls to the ground. People on the ground run away, trying to get away. If you don't like seeing things like that, please don't watch it. Please don't watch it. It's a terrifying thing. So I don't want you to get nightmares and terrors about it. But if you think you can cope with it, that's what I think. Or just Google Gandalf. You shall not pass. Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. You'll be fine. You'll know exactly what I mean. He's got his staff in one hand, his sword in the other. You shall not pass. The bridge of Khazad-dûm falls down in front of him. The Balrog descends into the pit, and Gandalf thinks he's safe. Won't spoil the rest, but you know. Or if you want to put Jason Robinson try Rugby World Cup final, you'll get the image. Having said that, I've just got Bob Willis taking the last wicket at Headingley 1981. Ray Bright's middle stump bowled out of the ground, tumbling, and England win the Test match, probably the greatest comeback in the history of cricket, when Australia got a big total, England got a pathetic total. England were forced to follow on. Botham did his thing, his 146 not out. And everyone remembers it as the Botham Test, where he triumphantly strode out there and smacked the Aussies for sixes all over the ground and triumphantly was the hero. The better hero was Bob Willis, second innings bowling at the Australians. Awesome. Anyway, That's what I've got going through my head. The last wicket, boom, splat, England win, amazing. That's and that's a great memory for me. And I can see myself getting overwhelmed by it. And that's one of the other things I have is I can get um, an over emotional response to things that other people might not. If you're watching this, you probably noticed my face changing, my eyes starting to get water, I went red. That was because it was a happy memory for me, and it's doing it again because I'm talking about it, and I can have that, and I can be watching television program. I tend not to watch the news because it's just too um, sensationalist about things, and it can be too horrific and too sad for me. But sometimes, or even I'm listening to the radio and something comes on, and it might be something completely obscure. It might say something like, and in Hungary today, gentleman's name who, won the gold medal for carrying your wife, the 100 meters wife carry, for the first time after 26 years of trying to win it. I will be in complete tears, absolute, overwhelming tears, emotion, crying the lot. I had no idea that this person existed before that news bulletin, and I don't know why I had that response. Excuse me. But I can get an overwhelming emotional response to anything that cricket, for example. And there's nothing I can do about it. Nothing I can do about it. There are parts of television programs and films I cannot watch without utter utter overwhelm of emotion and complete crying. The whole thing. The um there's bits of Lord of the Rings that I cannot watch. I cannot watch the last episode of MASH. It's not going to happen. I'm a complete wasted wreck watching the last episode of MASH. There's other episodes of MASH I that I get very tearful about. But the last episode, that final scene, just I'm inconsolable, complete overwhelm. You two boxes of tissues, the whole hit. So that is one of the things that happens to me. I've just got used to it. People around me that I love and love me don't think anything of it. Oh, don't worry, here's some tissues, you'll be fine. So I don't get ridiculed for it as I did um, growing up or in other situations with um, family and colleagues who should have perhaps been a bit more understanding. But that's people for you sometimes. So those are things that can happen. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to going to do some common traits of my Asperger's and do that in a future episode of Talking Asperger's with Andrew. I think that would be a good thing. But the visual thing that's going on in my head is it's quite astounding. This is Bob Willis again, because I was talking about it. 8 for 43, 8 wickets, 43 runs. England win by 12 or 13 runs when they should have been blitzed by Australia. Amazing. Um, and so these things just come at me, and I have no control. I have no control. I can't turn them on, can't turn them off. I'd rather have what I have, oh, excuse me, than not be able to visualize at all. I don't think I could cope with life without being able to visualize, because visualizing helps me relax, helps me calm down. Meditation and things like that are really good for me to help me decompress after I've had a stressful time. Today was an example. We had a good Leslie and I went to a business fair in Glasgow at Hampden Park, and we got there nice and early, and the people with stalls, and you're walking around and things, and it was not too many people, and it was fine. After about 40 minutes, just the floodgates opened, and the place was just heaving with people, and I get sensory overload with light and noise, and just being around so many people. It gets to the point where I've got to leave. Leslie, we need to go. I have to go. I have to get out of here. Because I can't cope with all the noise, the intensity of 50 conversations going on, and the noise and it's just too intense. So we did that this morning. So I've been able to decompress from that after dinner before coming on today. Oh, excuse me, I do apologise. And that's one of the things that helps. I have chronic fatigue, and because we were getting up early today to go to that event, we set an alarm. I don't usually have an alarm set, and because we wanted to make sure that we got up early and got to the venue on time, traffic and parking and all of those things that I need to be able to understand and work out how we can do that in a logical way. I was conscious when I went to bed. I had an alarm and I needed to be up at 7 o'clock. I hardly slept, so I didn't want to miss the alarm. So when you've got chronic fatigue and excuse me, and you don't sleep, you just run out of steam. And I'm at that point today where I need to take it very gentle, very quiet for the rest of the day and rest because just the emotional overload of so many people in a small space, lots of conversations, and you literally were at points bumping off people to manage to negotiate a, a route through the room. It was that crowded, and I really struggle with that. So um, that's drained me physically, and unfortunately, I'm yawning. I do apologise, but um, hence this hyperphantasia I have been seeing lots of images. It would be interesting to know whether you can visualize. Can you see things in your head? Um, there's a wonderful quote from Stephen King about writers don't create; they see it as though it is happening, and they're the secretary writing down what's happening, which I think is a wonderful quote. That's exactly what I do. I connect to the story. It's like the video's running, and I'm scribbling away of what's going on. So it's quite fun. Oh, I think we're going to have to cut today short because I'm just sitting here yawning because I've had a intense morning, uh, overwhelming situation of too much noise and too many people. Um, so yes, um, my head is like I am sitting inside a sphere, 10,000 video screens all showing something different at all times, without any control over what they are and when they loom up and become the dominant image. That's what I have. It's called hyperphantasia. And I didn't realize until not too long ago that not everyone has it. Not too many people do have it. And the opposite of hyperphantasia is aphantasia, where you see nothing, no images at all. And I'm really struggling trying to comprehend what that actually means to my brain. And I don't know. I can't work it out. I can't work it out. So if you've got a topic you would like me to cover, oh, excuse me, I do apologize, would like me to cover on a future episode of Talking Asperger's with Andrew, drop me a line, or you can get me on the website, which is over my shoulder there, aspergersmatters.com, or you can get me on the email at andrew@aspergersmatters.com. I'd be great to hear from you if you've got any comments about the content that I have. And don't forget, as I said at the beginning, this is episode 106. All previous 105 episodes of Talking Asperger's with Andrew are on my YouTube channel, so please feel free to look them up. They are completely free. They're useful resources for individuals on the spectrum, but also for employers and managers about some of the traits and the characteristics and some of the coping strategies, some of the management techniques you can employ to get the better out of your Asperger's employees, how to manage them better, how to support them better. All of those things are on previous episodes of Talking Asperger's with Andrew. So do take a look. And if you've got any questions on what you see, please get in touch either through the website, there's a contact form, aspergersmatters.com, or the email, andrew@aspergersmatters.com. That's about all we have time for today. I need to go and rest. And hopefully I won't be yawning as much next month. So next month is July. Look forward to that. So take care. See you again.